our microphones. And we are going to have the question and answer portion at the end. So please, please hold all your questions at the end because some of them may be answered as we progress through this presentation. Without any further ado, we're going to get started. This evening, my director is not going to be here, but you get me. So win-win. So if we want to go to the next one. Okay, so our presentation outcomes. Tonight, we are basically going to be talking about the early online college program. Some of you may be familiar with this program. We have been doing this program for about a year now. We've had two fall sessions and one spring session. If this is old hat to you, that's fantastic. And if you have additional questions, please save those to the end. We're going to talk about the participation requirements, the cost, which hopefully everybody will be happy with, the application process, which is often the most complicated part of this, and then deadlines. We are very strict at NOVA with deadlines for registration.
Ali online college program.
And so again, please make sure you're muting your microphone so that we can very quickly go through the presentation and have enough time for questions. So we're going to move on to the next slide. Ms. Brown has all the controls. So. All right, so many of you may be familiar with some of our programs at NOVA. Of course, everyone is familiar with associate degrees at two-year colleges and universities. We also have something called Passport, which Passport is taking courses through our Passport program. Does not get you a certificate, but it does essentially knock out your first semester of your freshman year. Those are basic math, social studies, political science, English. They're all of your basic standard generalized transferable courses. We have a new program that we have been bringing along. It was developed by the Virginia Community College system, and it has been adopted by many four-year colleges and universities. It is called the Uniform Certificate of General Studies. And this is something I'm very passionate about because it is very obtainable for students in Prince William County to achieve. What this does is it takes care of your first year college requirements. Your students can still enter college as freshmen living in the dorms, but have sophomore status. And these courses, you can find them on our website. You can also talk to your schools. I've been in contact with all of them about this program, where they are taking, if you're taking English, you're taking a science, you're taking math, you're taking history or political science. And many of the humanities, social, behavioral, elective requirements, and communication requirements are actually going to be covered in our early online college program. So that's really one of the neat benefits of maybe your school doesn't offer very many college dual enrollment courses in or on your campus, but you can utilize early online college to knock out some of those requirements to be able to obtain that Uniform Certificate of General Studies and go into a four-year college of your choice with this certificate. And then of course, like I said, everyone knows the associate degree, which we do not offer any standardized associate degree through Prince William County, but we do offer some wonderful pathways. And these early online college courses are transferable and can be utilized in those associate degrees. As always, though, it is important to make sure that you're talking to the advising personnel at the college you intend to go to. I also recommend checking out a program called Transfer Virginia. And this will help you look at transfer courses or how your courses can transfer. Oh, you're good, Ms. Brown. I was just filling some space. So early online college is open to juniors and seniors in Prince William County. If you have an exceptional sophomore, I'm sorry, they may be able to take dual enrollment at your school, but they cannot participate in this program at this time. Mainly because this is an additional course outside of the normal day. And so they must meet those college readiness requirements. They have to be in good standing at NOVA, which means a 2.0 GPA. Again, that doesn't mean that they only have to have a 2.0 GPA at the high school. It must be in NOVA. So if your student says that they don't know what their NOVA GPA is, they can go into Canvas and they can go, as long as they've taken courses before, they go into Canvas and the SIS system through MyNova, and they can actually see what their GPA is and what their former grades are from other courses they have taken. If your student has never taken a course through Nova before, then what they can do is they're basically they're in good standing because they've never taken a course before. They may not exceed a total of 18 Nova credits per semester. Now, this means that they cannot exceed 18 credits at the high school and through the early online college program. We call that overload. And the reason we don't want to do that is we don't want to overstress and overburden our students. It's very important because there's free tuition. And so free tuition is great, but what's more important is making sure that the students that are taking these courses are getting those strong grades that are transferable. A's, B's, and C's are transferable. If a student has a D from this course, which can happen in many situations in which students are overtaxed, overburdened, and just especially that end of year where they're taking AP tests or they're taking their IB exams, they can become very overwhelmed, and we don't want those D's and F's because those will put them not only in poor academic standing, F's can actually impact guaranteed admissions to other colleges, and it is on their permanent transcript. So please keep that in mind. These courses are online and they're asynchronous. So if your student struggled in the virtual only classroom environment when they had a teacher, this may not be a super great option for them. You want to make sure you're talking to your student before, and if you are the student, you may want to keep that in mind. Asynchronous, for those of you that may not remember what that is, it is completely independent. There are hard deadlines. There are expectations. They can reach out and speak to an instructor. There's an instructor attached to every course. They are required to communicate with your students when they reach out. They have office hours available, but there are no lecture times. There are no times in which the students have to get on to meet with their instructor. So if your student is not a self-starter, this may not be a good option for them. They're only allowed to take 2 courses per semester. And these are, again, they're transferable courses. So the courses that they can take can transfer to other colleges. It may transfer as we have like a math course, for instance. That math course may transfer as a math course, or it may transfer just simply as an elective. So it's always important to make sure you're coordinating with your schools, especially those seniors that are applying to colleges. If they have a college in mind, they may want to reach out to their advisors at that college and see exactly what these courses are accepted as. These courses are for college credit only. So if a student takes, it's a quantitative reasoning course. Students that are STEM or any science, math, STEM, like degree plans, please don't take this course because it is not designed for you. It is designed more for liberal arts degrees. And it is one of the options that will help fulfill the math requirement on that Uniform Certificate of General Studies I mentioned before that will basically take care of the first year of Gen Ed courses. Please make sure that you're, again, remembering it is for college credit only. You cannot get dual credit at the high school. So that math course would not count as a high school math credit, only for college credit. For free tuition, you do get free tuition for the course itself. You are responsible for any course materials. If you look on the Prince William County Advanced Academics website for early online college, and also on Nova's early online college website, you can actually see what courses have textbooks that are required. We have an ITE 152 that is basically an introduction to technology systems. And that course does have a textbook that is new because it's a new course. It fulfills a technology elective for the Uniform Certificate of General Studies, but it has a textbook that typically brand new runs over $100. So we do have many of the courses that have, it's called OER, which is Open Educational Resources, and those are free. So if cost is a factor, you may want to look at some of those courses that do not have a textbook cost. You will receive email reminders about tuition once you're enrolled, but once the drop date passes, so it's about like the first 2 weeks of the course, those invoices will be paid by Prince William County. So please do not be nervous if you see that. Now, if you are taking courses on campus, those are, and you will have to pay for courses on campus. So if you're taking things in the early online college only, those are covered through Prince William County. But if you are paying to take like maybe an English course on the Woodbridge campus, that has costs and fees. So please do understand that. Some people get confused by that situation, and we just want to make sure that you're not frustrated during the payment process. So we have some wonderful offerings. This year, we've actually added in a language. This Arabic 101, there is a textbook required for this. And we do have it's a Barnes & Noble supported bookstore, but you are not required to buy the textbooks through our bookstore. So you can utilize any resources you want, but it is very important to make sure that you are finding out with the ISBN, which is that book number, to make sure you have the correct edition and the correct textbooks. So please keep that in mind. Arabic 101 can take care of the languages elective for the Uniform Certificate of General Studies. We have communications, it's Principles of Public Speaking, which is, there is a textbook purchase as well. This is very important for many like regular degree plans, because they do want you to have either CST 100 or CST 110. If you've already previously taken CST 110, please do not take CST 100, because only one of those is really required. And some schools prefer the 110, which was offered this fall. Some of them will require the CST 100. We do have Principles of Microeconomics, Econ 202. We do have History 112, which is World Civilizations. World History, if you're Mason bound, they prefer World History many times. This also fulfills, all of these that fulfill the Uniform Certificate of General Studies. They fit some niche in there. That ITE 152 is an Intro to Digital and Information Literacy and Computer Applications. There is a textbook. ITP 100. Some of you may be very into computers, and maybe this is your course of study, technology, cyber. You're looking to complete a certificate through NOVA. We have some wonderful IT certificates. ITP 100, we don't offer very often in early online college. This is essentially a programming style course that will be available. We do have many students at Battlefield that are seniors that are, this is required for that associates that they may have been taking, the associates in information technology. So please keep that in mind. It does fulfill that. The quantitative reasoning, again, not for STEM majors. If you're anything with science and math, you're going to need that pre-calculus, which we do not offer in early online college. Music and society. This does not require an instrument. This is basically how music impacts society. And as you can see, that does not require a textbook. Introduction to comparative politics. If your student really likes government, but maybe they took AP government or just gen ed government, they can take intro to comparative politics. And this, it checks the box for a social or behavioral science. And then the SDV 100 is a college success skills. If your student does not plan to continue on to NOVA, do not take that course, because it is basically a 1-credit course that is required for degree plans or certificates at NOVA. But if your child is going to James Madison, they're going to have their own college success skills. It's great to check things out and to kind of learn the systems, but it's not required, and that will not transfer. So that's the only course that is not transferable. All right, so considerations. Course selection, you want to make sure you're balancing your high school schedule, this program, and any other responsibilities. So if you know that there's going to be spring sports, seniors very often get senioritis, and I taught seniors for 5 years, and they get senioritis, and it's very real. So if you're already taking a very high course load, this may not always be the best fit for you. If you have interest, taking something that interests you, you don't want to take something that is so like out in left field, if maybe you might be better suited to take that in person with an instructor that can help walk you through and talk you through things. We have some wonderful instructors that do work with our early online college program, but at the same time, it's a little different to take on maybe, economics if you are more of a social studies type of person and you're just not comfortable with that type of content. I know because I'm a history person, and math and econ was always a struggle. So it's really about what you're interested in and where your strengths are. Also understand that these are 12-week semesters, and the 3 credit courses, we anticipate about 8 to 12 hours a week. Now it's all about your students' work ethic. If they take a little bit more time to get through things, you may have to, plan on 13 hours. If you're, hopefully it's not, hopefully it's only, 8 to 9, but if you can get through things and you have good time management skills and good organization skills, you may be able to complete those tasks and activities a little bit faster. But it's really a good idea to make sure that that you have set aside time to complete these activities. They have hard due dates. They are one of the things I've heard the most is, the no late policies. A lot of students struggle with that because they're not used to instructors not taking work a day or so late. So please make sure that students understand that they have to turn these things in on time. This does run over spring break, so they will have assignments due over spring break. They don't take time out for that. These courses do run January 31st, which I'll mention before. So it's the end of January and it runs all the way through April. So it's really important to make sure that they're balancing their time well. It's online, it's asynchronous. They do have to have the ability to access a program called Respondus Lockdown. And that's actually how they're able to take tests in a completely asynchronous online environment. What it does is it actually records them to make sure that they are not looking at other screens. It can tell them how long they've been on a particular screen if they've logged off. It can show that nobody's next to them taking the test, or it shows that they're actually the person that is supposed to be taking the test. So this is a required component. Prince William County Schools computers are able to utilize Respondus Lockdown. We did make sure to support the schools by coordinating for this. So if you're struggling to be able to access this program once you do start early online college, please make sure that you're talking to your school's tech team. And those weekly assignments and due dates are important. If you do not log in the first week of your course, you can be dropped. It's called NV Arcade, and they will drop you and you cannot get back in. I had several people this past quarter or this past semester that actually asked to get back in because they had forgotten to log in. So please keep in mind that if you're dropped, you cannot be added back to the course. So the application process. The first thing they need to do is apply to NOVA. If your student has already taken a dual enrollment course or is currently taking a dual enrollment course, they do not need to apply to NOVA a second time. They just need to make sure that they have that 7-digit EMPL ID number in order to process their early online college course selection. It's important to make sure that when they are applying to the college that they are selecting the 2023 term. And they want to make sure there are some questions about domicile that can often frustrate students and confuse them. It basically is just looking for their in-state or out-of-state residency. So if they ask you, what does domicile mean? That's a very common question. So please make sure that they are applying to NOVA and keeping track of that 7-digit EMPL ID. Once they hit submit on the application, it will take a moment or two, and then it'll say application submitted, and they will have to scroll all the way down to the bottom, and there's a lovely yellow box that I always encourage they take a screenshot of. It has their 7-digit EMPL ID, it has their username and their password. And they need those things to be able to log into the NOVA system and also to be able to register for their courses. After they've applied to NOVA successfully, then they need to go to nvcc.dualenroll.com, and they're going to log in if they've previously selected a course, or they need to create an account. You can utilize the same username and password that they received after they applied to NOVA, if they can remember it. Otherwise, they can utilize any username and password that they want. Now, they do have to verify this account. So they have to make sure that they give the correct parent email, parent contact phone number, can be parent or guardian. because there's a parent consent form that has to be completed. That's number 4 there. If the parent consent is not completed, we cannot enroll your student. So you may see that you get text messages or emails. They're not spam, we promise. It's basically you click on that, there's a link that you select and you hit consent. That you understand that this is a college course that will be on your student's permanent college transcript, which they do have to send. It is a law. They have to send it to the college of their choice. They don't need to send it when they're applying to colleges. They only need to send it when they're accepted into that college and they want the credit transfer. Please make sure once they've completed that process and they're ready to select a course, that they select the early online college spring 2022 term. If they select the 22-23 term, we will not be able to see that they have selected the correct term and they will not be able to be processed. So please select the correct term and it will show only the courses that are offered by your district once they select that term. Then they can select up to 2 courses. If they select any more, what will happen is that the coordinators will actually reach out and tell the students that they have to select just 2. And if they do not, then they will be dropped from all but 2 of the courses. We often have students that select every single course and we have to go in and we ask them to change it. If they do not, we just keep the first 2 that they select. Please make sure that your student is checking your email, your text, checking dualenroll.com. Oh, also one thing that's very, very important, when they apply to NOVA, please have them use a personal email. Do not have them use their school email, because what happens is that their NOVA EMPL ID and username and password are theirs for the entirety of their lives. So once they graduate from high school, the PWCS email goes away, and that's actually how they can find their passwords. So say they go to Mason and they want to come back to NOVA over the summer and take a gen ed course, they have to find that information, and it makes it a lot harder because they can't find it. And it also makes sure that they're not creating fake emails that don't go anywhere, because if they don't have the notifications, then they can't complete the process. So some important dates: registration is already open and we already have a lot of students that have expressed interest. I'm always reviewing them. Students should always make sure that they're logging into dualenroll.com and checking their status. Students have to upload a student transcript. Our wonderful PWCS team does upload them, but students should upload a current transcript that shows what grade they're in and their GPA if possible. So registration opens October 10th and the application deadline is December 31st. I want to be very clear when I tell you that December 31st at 5 p.m. is a very hard deadline. The system will be shut down. And if you try to select a course at 5:01, you will not be able to. And something I also want to make sure that I'm letting you know about is that our offices, just like the school offices, are closed the very last week of December. So if you have any questions or concerns, please have your student register for the program, and then we can ask questions, deal with transcripts and questions and concerns after that time. But please make sure that your student is in the applies to NOVA in the dualenroll.com system and selects that course before December 31st at 5 p.m. If there are any questions, you can always feel free to reach out to the dual enrollment at nbcc.edu help box, but they will also not be answering any emails during that last week of December. Early online classes begin January 31st. It is a Tuesday. It is very weird, but it is a Tuesday. So please keep that in mind when your student goes to log in. There is an orientation that will happen mid-January. We often tell students it is extremely important to go. It will help them to be able to know how to purchase textbooks. It helps them to know the policies and procedures of the program. Students that attend the orientation do better. They have higher persistence rates. They are able to navigate and they understand all of the wonderful resources that we have. Students have some great resources utilizing the NOVA online system. They also need to make sure that they know when they can actually access their course. Just because a student sees that they have been enrolled into a course does not mean that they automatically get to access the course. Typically, this happens 3 to 4 days before the class starts. That's when they need to go log in and look at the syllabus, which will give the outline of the courses. And then your early online college courses will end April 24th of 2023. So please keep those dates in mind. They're very important, and I really recommend making sure that you apply to the program before the last week of December. So some common questions. How many classes can I take each semester? 2. How do I decide what classes to take at my high school and what to take at early online college? So what's really important to know is that the courses that we're offering are not typically offered at your high school. So these are unique courses. However, it's important to look and see if you're already taking government dual enrollment, which is political science 135. You don't need to take the comparative politics. It's essentially, they're both political science courses. If you're already taking history courses, if you like history, you can always take the course because there are different electives you can fill that in for, because I'll never tell anybody to not take a history course. But it's important to talk to the college that you want to go to and see if they prefer history credits or world history credits. Economics, if you're, again, you kind of go with your strengths. Economics is not offered at any of the schools and will not be offered at any of the schools in the near future. So that's something important to note. It's really important, like we don't offer Englishes. Let me see, I'm trying to think. There are no lab sciences offered. So I really always recommend to make sure you're taking courses in the high school. They're taught by by instructors that your students can interact with. There's more seat time, so students can actually get a lot more support in the classroom. And high school dual enrollment is always a good first step. So if your student has not taken a dual enrollment course before, sometimes taking an in-person high school course first is always the best alternative. And really it's about balancing your time, because if you're going from taking mostly general education high school courses to suddenly taking 2 very high octane, challenging early online college courses with no support, it can be overwhelming. And so it's really important to make sure you're looking at drop dates and withdraw dates. Drop dates are basically, it's like the course did not exist on your transcript. And that's basically within the first 2 weeks of the course. The withdraw date is anytime before you've completed 60% of the course, but it will show in your transcript as a W. So it's important to understand that you do have options if the course becomes a struggle, but it's always important to really make sure you're planning out what you're taking, how you're taking it. How much these classes cost? Free. Just textbooks for the courses that indicate a textbook is required. And you always need to purchase books for the course. If the course says it needs a book, it needs a book, and a lot of the information will be from those textbooks, because since you're not getting those direct lectures, you're going to need the information from a standardized source, which is that textbook, or the open educational resource. Open educational means it's free. So please make sure you're kind of keeping an eye on that. The course or the textbooks can cost anywhere between, we have some that are, $5 used, $5 to $40 in some of the courses, to over $120. I think we used to have an art class that the textbook was, I want to say, over about $200. You, again, do not have to purchase the textbook through the Nova bookstore, but we do have all of the books that are corresponding to that class. So you can utilize any source that you want, but you do need to make sure it has the right edition. It is the right textbook. So those are important. These classes do not count toward a high school GPA. They can only count toward your college GPA, and they cannot be utilized to meet high school graduation requirements. So you can't use economics to take care of economics personal finance. So that's food for thought. What four-year institutions will accept these courses as transfer? Many courses across the country will take these courses. We are the second biggest community college in the country. We are accredited by SAC CSE, and we also, for dual enrollment, we're those courses are also accredited by someone called NASAP, which is actually a accrediting body for dual enrollment courses. So we are a highly respected and regarded college, and our courses transfer far and wide. My community college credits have transferred to the University of Hawaii. I know that people that have gone to Michigan State have had theirs transfer over. UVA Wise takes them, VCU takes them, ODU. There's many colleges that take these from all over the country. One of my colleagues the other day said University of Georgia took their dual enrollment credits. It's always important to make sure you're contacting those colleges. Military institutions, they're going to take a dual enrollment. They're not going to take a dual enrollment course per se, but it can indicate, just like they won't take AP scores, but what they do is it goes toward where they're placed in those courses. So that's something to kind of keep an eye on. So a dual enrollment course, if you're going to West Point, that Western civilization course will actually help them to be in a higher level, history course at West Point, just like a 5 on an AP exam would. What accommodations does NOVA allow? NOVA has a program with accommodations and accessibility. You can look that up, NOVA Accommodations and Accessibility. And they allow students that have 504s and IEPs to provide their information. And there's a whole process that they go through. They review all of the accommodations and accessibility options that are available, and they will provide students with an MOA, which is a Memorandum of Accommodations. Now, these will actually be unique to each course that your student takes. So if your student is taking Arabic, for example, that will be noted on there, and they will have very specific accommodations for the Arabic course. Whereas, let me see, music and society may have different accommodations. So it's important to let the accommodations and accessibility people have as much information as possible. If there's medical documentation, the IEP reports, all of that, and they really do a great job of providing those to you. It is your students' responsibility, however, to provide the memorandum of accommodations to their instructors. That way they can have those accommodations. It's not like in Prince William County where the instructors already know and have a notification. The instructors do not know unless your student provides that. The process is very easy. You can complete that process as soon as you register for a course. That way you know what courses your student is taking. So I think, do we have any other, I think that's about it, right, Ms. Brown? Yeah.
Yep. If anybody has any questions, they're welcome to drop them in the chat. I have answered a couple as they've come in this evening. One of them was looking at if the courses we showed earlier in the presentation are the only courses that are offered for the spring 2023 session. And yes, those are the only courses. We do try and add a little bit of variety each semester. So we may have some different courses for the fall 2023 session. But right now, those courses that are listed are the only ones that are allowed.
Yes, and building off of that, it's what we do is we work very hard to make sure that the courses that are offered are transferable. And we like to make sure we work very closely with Prince William County to ensure that they're not repetitive. So if something is like the communications course I was mentioning, that public speaking course, we know that some colleges really prefer the CST 100 and other four-year colleges prefer the CST 110. So we really make an effort to make sure that we're not just providing the same things over and over, because if your junior or senior takes the course or takes early online college for 4 iterations, fall and spring, and then they also want to participate in our Jumpstart program, which is available to graduating seniors that are planning to go to NOVA. We want to make sure that there's some diversity so they can actually pick out courses to really complete that uniform certificate of general studies and knock out that first year of college, in addition to their dual enrollment courses at the high school. So it's really, we try to meld those together to ensure that students have everything that they need. I did get a direct message about if freshmen can take dual enrollment. Exceptional freshmen can participate in dual enrollment courses, but they do have requirements and standards, and some of them are different school to school. Typically, we don't really encourage freshmen to take dual enrollment courses, especially I'm the parent of a freshman and I've taught in a high school for many years. And freshmen are often just kind of getting their bearings and navigating high school. And so with permanent college transcripts, if a student maybe doesn't realize like what their grade is because they're not familiar with how to check it, then they may find when they get to senior year that they had a D in a class and they didn't notice, or they just maybe weren't as prepared. So typically exceptional freshmen and sophomores with a 3.25 GPA can take certain courses. There are certain courses like English, certain maths. Most of our courses are really restricted to juniors and seniors and exceptional sophomores. Freshmen, we often really want them to hold off until they're ready and they have the skills that they've learned from their freshman and sophomore level courses.
Thank you. Yep, we've got a couple of great ones coming in. I have a question about the way the semester falls for EOC. Students will not follow the Prince William, like for their EOC class, they will not follow the Prince William spring break. So when the Prince William schools are on break from April 3rd to April 7th, there will still be assignments and expectations with the EOC class. So please make sure you're aware of that. The term that we're talking about right now is spring 2023. So when you go to select and register, you're going to select early online college spring 2023. Let's see, other questions.
There's a good thing to add into that if your student is taking a dual enrollment course in the high school, this is not going to be the same semester start and end as well. So keep that in mind, that your student will need to remember that this is a shortened class. So it starts January 31st and it ends April 24th, where their high school dual enrollment course will go all the way to the end of May. I did also have a question. Are there any courses over the summer? The only early online college style courses that we have over the summertime are for graduating seniors in our Jumpstart program. That will open up probably around March or April. And those again are for graduating seniors that are intending to go to Nova. So they intend to follow on to Nova, then we do have that program. If your student is interested in taking dual enrollment courses over the summer, they can work through our independent dual enrollment, and they can, but there is a whole separate process, and tuition and fees are assessed on that. So it is not a free program.
Yep. So if you're wondering about the different courses, if you go to our website, www.pwcs.edu/advanced academics, when you click on early online college and you see those spring 2023 semester or term, all of those details, you'll notice that each course is linked in there. That will take you directly to the course content summary. That will give you a better explanation of what those courses are about than I can give you. And so I recommend, for those of you that are wondering, what will the course be like? What are the topics? Will it start with the Arabic course? Is it the first course? Yes, it is the first course. I'm not sure what they will cover in there, but you can click on those links and that will show you what all of those details are.
I did get a question. I said that those who want to take biochem, physics are better not doing it online. Well, one, we don't offer them for early online college, mainly because they're lab courses, and a student, if they're going to take biology, they also have to take the biology lab, which means you do have to do these things in person. So that's, and students typically, we want to make sure that they do have that hands-on, because these are higher level courses. Like the biology is not like 9th grade biology. This is a biology that juniors or seniors will take, and they have to have completed a variety of like math courses, and they have to have a specific GPA.
Courses that we recommend. I recommend students who are choosing to do early online classes, choose classes that interest them. This is something you're doing in addition to your high school load, in addition to your social activities or whatever else is happening in your world. This isn't in addition to. So I recommend that you find a course that you're excited about. Take some time, look through those different courses, see what's offered, and if what one intrigues you or inspires you or makes you want to learn a little bit more. Those are the courses that you want to take through early online college, because you are going to be working asynchronously. There will not be an instructor constantly reminding you about due dates and things like that. They're going to tell you, here are the due dates, and they're going to expect you follow up with those due dates. So you want to find something that you're going to be motivated to continue working with.
And I have a question about if you're more of a homebound student. If you're homebound and maybe you're not able to get out and do things, and you are able to learn well in the virtual environment, then I definitely recommend this program. Just remember, though, that you be getting college credit only and not high school credit. So if this is something that is, maybe you don't have a lot of like outside activities, you're really passionate, you just love to learn, then this is definitely a great program for you. But you also have to make sure that what happens for a lot of students, homebound, super active, it doesn't matter what you are. So many students will overwhelm themselves. They'll take all AP, DE, IB, and then they'll take these 2 courses. And all of those courses take a lot of time outside of class and a lot of studying, and you've got to compartmentalize everything. So the great thing is these end before, I believe, AP testing starts, but it's still a lot of work. So, you just have to make sure that if you get easily overwhelmed and you have maybe anxiety or frustration, this may not be the class for you. And the thing is that it's my job to promote this program, but I'm also a parent and a teacher. I've taught DE for a long time. I know that if you struggle with writing and research, then you don't want to take something like a history course, because there's going to be research, there's going to be writing. If you have an auditory processing issue, learning Arabic online virtually is probably not going to be the best for you. Those types of things. If you're interested in computers or you don't know anything about computers, maybe programming wouldn't be a good idea to take, because you need somebody to actually be there and work with you, and you don't need to be overwhelmed. Too often, we see a lot of students failing early online college because they simply bit off more than they could chew, and they didn't know how to drop the course. They didn't know, or they didn't want to admit defeat, which I know a lot of us don't want to, but sometimes we just have to realize that we've taken too much and we need to take a moment for ourselves. So it's really important to make sure you're thinking about it before you take these courses. If you've never done it before, I always recommend take one and start, especially if you're a junior, because your senior year, then if it was easier for you, then you can take 2. Okay.
Yeah. Question on the number of credits each student should take. That really and truly is an individual decision. I recommend you speak with your high school counselor, you speak with your family. The reality of it is we've given you the estimations of time as to how long we expect students to be spending, but we also know that that is purely an estimation. Every student is different. What you can handle is different. So you'll need to really think of that yourself. I agree with Ms. Stewart's recommendation. Start with 1 course. There's no need to jump both feet in that water and take the 2 courses. You can take up to 2 courses. You don't have to take 2 courses. For early online college, again, please know that early online college courses are not open to sophomores. I know many of you are exceptional sophomores, and I appreciate your exceptionality. However, the way early online college is structured, we cannot allow students who are not current juniors or seniors to partake in those classes. Understand, though, next year, when you are a current junior or senior, you will be eligible for those courses.
Yes, and we will actually click the fail button. So please don't think we're not failing you as a person. It just means that your request has been denied. if we see that you are a sophomore or freshman. It is a policy because again, this is a permanent transcript, and if say you get F's and D's and you're placed on academic warning or academic probation, those stay on your permanent transcript for your life. Like, and we have lots of instructors, like your instructors at your high schools. We have to do something called credentialing, where we look at your high school transcripts. So I can see every single grade, and sometimes I will see grades from people that say academic probation, academic warning, and schools can see that also. So it's really important to understand that, we understand free college is great, but free college and an A, taking one course, is better than free college and 3 Ds, over, 3 semesters. So
Yep.
yeah, that's very, very important to make sure you're remembering that. And it's, from a parent perspective, because college, prices are so high, we want our students to be able to knock as many things off, but we also want to make sure that, they can transfer those courses, because
Yep.
D's do not get degrees, but A's, B's, and C's, those A's and B's are really what you want to shoot for. A C's passable, but some colleges are really looking for those A's and B's.
Oh. So for those of you who are wondering where to find the additional information, if you go to our website, which is www.pwcs.edu/advanced academics, when you scroll down, you'll see all of our advanced academic opportunities. What you want to click on is early online college. And then as you scroll down, you'll see the fall 2022 session details. Those are for classes that are currently happening. You are not eligible to start those classes right now because they are already happening. They are well on their way. What you want to do is click on spring 2023, and that will give you all of the information for the upcoming spring. Okay, so you've got the session dates, the registration windows. Once we have the orientation session posted, we'll get that information up there. And we have all the course offerings up there as well. So please make sure you're looking at the spring 2023 information if you're interested in signing up for the spring.
And I had a great question about what are the key differences between the ITP 100 and ITE 152. Now, again, this is, as Ms. Brown mentioned before, it's really important to look at those course descriptions, because they can really give you the details. And you can also sometimes look, if you look up Nova Online and a syllabus for each of those courses, it can kind of show you a little bit of the outline of what the expectations are, what kind of activities they do on Nova Online, because all Nova Online courses are exactly the same. They structure them. So you and your friend are placed in different sections. You will still have the exact same assignments, the exact same due dates. It's consistent across the board. The Intro to Digital and Information Literacy and Computer Applications. This is more of a IT fundamentals type of course where it gives you the basics. The ITP 100, this is more software design, like programming. The P is for programming. And this one is more for students that are looking to complete a certificate. We have some certificates that have the ITP 100. It is required for the ASIT that many students, especially at Battlefield in particular, that they were working toward, those seniors. So that does fit that programming requirement. Forest Park, they have a program that the ITP 100 can actually fit into their certificate from the classes that they're taking. So it's kind of programming versus an overall generalized information tech. So hopefully that answered that question. But again, it's always important to do your research. Make sure that you're looking at what the courses have as a requirement. Like I said, you can actually go and put in, I think it's NOL, and you can put the course and say syllabus. Yep. And often it will show you what those syllabi look like.
Well, thank you so much, Ms. Stewart. I really appreciate your time this evening with our families. Again, as a reminder, if anyone does have any questions, you are welcome to reach out to our office, reach out to dual enrollment. If you go again to our website, and I'll click on it for you, it's the easiest part to do. We do have our email addresses are there for you. You can also email dualenroll@nvcc.edu, and they will be able to help you as well. Again, thank you for coming. We do appreciate it. One last question just snuck into my chat, and it's, with a student's 7-digit EMPL ID, they will use that EMPL ID every time they register for a course at Nova from now until they are done registering for courses at Nova when they're 100 years old. That is their ID. It's going to follow them forever and ever. So if you've already registered for early online courses, or you've taken dual enrollment courses at your high school, that EMPL ID, that's your ID. Hold on tight to it. Don't forget it. That's going to be yours from here on out. Okay.
Exactly. Yep. And if your student has lost it, but they have applied for maybe early online college last spring, they can go into their nvcc.dualenroll.com account, and it's actually their student number. So that's how they can find that information, to help them out.
So, well, thank you again, everyone, for joining us. We truly appreciate it. We will have a recording of this posted to our website later on in the month. So if you want to go back and reference anything, please feel free to do so. Otherwise, have a wonderful evening, and we look forward to processing all of your applications for early online college.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You too.